There are some people who move through life feeling like love is never just love, and connection is never just connection. For them, every interaction carries weight. Every bond leaves a mark, and every emotional exchange seems to echo far beyond the moment itself. These are the people often called chosen ones, not because life is easier for them, but because they seem wired to experience reality at a deeper frequency. They do not simply meet people. They feel them. They do not just enter relationships. They merge with energies, absorb emotions, and carry invisible impressions long after the conversation ends. If you have ever wondered why some people experience love and human connection on a completely different level, the answer may lie in something both spiritual and strangely close to what quantum reality hints at. At the deepest level of existence, everything is energy. What looks solid is actually vibrating. What feels separate is connected beneath the surface. And maybe that is why some souls seem born with a sensitivity that allows them to feel the hidden layer of life more intensely than others. In daily life, this shows up in ways that seem ordinary from the outside, but feel extraordinary on the inside. A chosen one can sit in a room full of people and instantly sense who is carrying pain, who is pretending to be happy, and who feels safe without anyone saying a word. They may meet someone for only 5 minutes and somehow feel like they have known them forever. Or they may walk away from a casual conversation and keep thinking about the person for days, not because they are overthinking, but because something energetic in that meeting was real. Most people are taught to trust only what can be explained logically, but chosen ones often live in the uncomfortable space of feeling what cannot be proven. They know when someone's words and energy do not match. They know when a bond is meaningful before it fully forms. They know when someone is emotionally leaving long before the breakup happens. This can make them feel strange, dramatic, or too intense, when in reality they are just tuned in to signals others are numb to. If we borrow the language of quantum realities for a moment, one of the most fascinating ideas is that observation affects outcome. The presence of attention changes what becomes real. That may sound like science far removed from human emotion, but think about it in everyday life. Have you noticed how some people make you feel more alive just by being fully present with you, and how others can sit right beside you while making you feel invisible? Chosen ones are deeply affected by this because they do not only hear words, they register presence. They feel whether someone is truly there or only performing closeness. They know the difference between being looked at and being seen. That is why shallow connections drain them. Surface-level attention cannot satisfy a soul that instinctively searches for authentic energy. To them, love is not measured by how often someone texts or how attractive they are. Love is measured by depth, by resonance, by the feeling that two inner worlds have actually touched. This is also why daily disappointments can hit chosen ones harder than they hit other people. A late reply is not always just a late reply. A cold tone is not always just stress. A withdrawn energy is not always just tiredness. Chosen ones can sense shifts before facts appear, and while this gift gives them deep insight, it also makes them vulnerable to emotional overload. They notice what others miss. They pick up on the tension behind a smile, the sadness hidden in jokes, the distance concealed behind routine. In relationships, this means they often love with great sincerity but also suffer in silence because they can feel subtle disconnection long before it becomes visible. They are not imagining things, they are sensing the field. And that field matters more than most people realize. There is another quantum-like truth that can help explain this depth: entanglement. In simple terms, entangled things remain connected even across distance. Now think about the people you have loved deeply. Have you ever felt someone's sadness before they told you? Thought about a person, out of nowhere, only to hear from them later? Felt emotionally affected by someone you have not seen in months? Chosen ones experience this all the time. Their strongest emotional bonds do not end when the person leaves the room. They continue in invisible ways. A memory can carry a charge. A name can stir the body. A dream can reopen an old emotional line. This is why chosen ones struggle to connect casually. They know consciously or unconsciously that every deep bond changes them. For them, love is not entertainment, it is energetic imprinting. You can see this in normal, everyday situations. A chosen one may go to a family dinner and spend the whole night sensing unspoken tension between relatives while everyone else acts normal. Leaf. They may have a friend say, "I'm fine," and instantly know they are not. They may be in a relationship where everything looks perfect on paper, yet something inside keeps whispering that the connection is emotionally incomplete. They may fall for someone who barely says much, but whose energy feels familiar in a way that cannot be explained. These experiences are confusing, because modern life teaches people to trust appearances, routines, labels, and social scripts. But chosen ones are often guided by resonance. They do not just ask, "Does this make sense?" They ask, "Does this feel true?" And that question takes them into a much deeper relationship with reality. The blessing in this is obvious. Chosen ones can love in a rare way. They can offer emotional presence that makes others feel understood without needing to explain themselves. They can create relationships that are healing, profound, and unforgettable. When they are loved correctly, they bloom. But there is a shadow side too. Because chosen ones feel connection so deeply, they often stay too long in relationships that no longer nourish them. They keep hoping the energy they first felt will return. They mistake emotional intensity for destiny. What people fail to realize is that chosen ones are not weak because they feel deeply. They are carrying an inner sensitivity that makes them experience human connection at a level many people only access during major heartbreak, loss, or awakening. This is why chosen ones must learn discernment. Not every strong connection is meant to stay. Not every familiar energy is safe. Not every soul-level pull is a lifelong alignment. Sometimes deep feeling is a lesson, not a home. Sometimes resonance is there to wake you up, not to keep you comfortable. One of the most painful but necessary lessons for chosen ones is learning that just because you can feel someone deeply does not mean they have the capacity to meet you there. Love is not only about depth of feeling, it is also about emotional responsibility, honesty, and mutual presence. A person may stir your soul and still be wrong for your peace. And this is where the real transformation begins. The chosen one stops chasing intensity and starts valuing coherence. They stop confusing pain with passion. They stop trying to force people to love at their level. They begin protecting their energy, honoring their intuition, and accepting that their depth is not a curse. It is a compass. Their emotional sensitivity was never meant to trap them in suffering. It was meant to guide them toward truth, toward relationships where words match energy, where closeness feels safe, and where love does not have to be begged for or decoded. Maybe that is the real quantum reason chosen ones experience love and connection on a different level. They are not just living in the visible world. They are feeling the invisible one too. They sense how attention changes energy, how presence creates reality, and how deep bonds continue beyond physical distance. So if you have always felt that love affects you more deeply than it seems to affect others, do not rush to call it a weakness. Maybe you are not broken. Maybe you are simply more aware of the hidden architecture of connection. Maybe your heart was designed to feel what others overlook. And maybe your lesson is not to become less deep, less open, or less emotionally alive. Maybe your lesson is to become wiser about where that depth belongs. Because when a chosen one finally finds a connection that is honest, mutual, and energetically clean, it does not just feel like romance. It feels like peace. It feels like recognition. It feels like coming home to a reality their soul has always known was possible.